This story was sent in by Aaron. When I was 16, I was a junior in high school. My school schedule included 9 periods, and 5th period was my lunch break. Right after that, I had astronomy class, which wasn't in a typical classroom. Instead, it was held in one of the 2 classrooms located in the school's basement. These basement rooms had an eerie feel to them, especially when the area was empty. Originally a janitorial space, the basement had been remodeled to accommodate the overflow of classes. However, it still retained a cold, unsettling atmosphere despite the renovations. There were no intercoms or loudspeakers installed there at the time, which made the space isolated. This lack of communication systems meant no classes were scheduled there during the first period when morning announcements were made. That day in astronomy class, we had a quiz. I usually finished early since I found the subject pretty easy. After completing the quiz, I texted my friend JJ, who was in the other basement classroom, asking him to meet me in the bathroom out of boredom. JJ agreed, and within a few minutes, we were joking around in the dimly lit basement bathroom. Our fun was interrupted when JJ glanced at his phone and mentioned that the school had gone into lockdown. We both exchanged knowing grins. Since our teachers hadn't noticed we were missing, we thought we'd explore the school during the lockdown. We figured the worst that could happen was us getting caught and explaining we couldn't hear the announcement. As we stepped out of the basement, we were struck by the pitch-black hallways. The lights, typically left on during lockdowns, were off. A sense of unease began to creep in. Suddenly, JJ froze, pointing down the hallway. Emerging from the shadows was a man. He didn't look like a teacher. His ragged clothes and disheveled appearance suggested otherwise. "Let's go," I whispered, and we retreated to the basement. Not wanting to alert the classrooms, we decided to hide in the bathroom. The moment we shut the door and turned off the lights, the room plunged into complete silence, except for our breathing and the occasional drip from the sink. The bathroom door creaked open and light from the hallway briefly illuminated the room before plunging us back into darkness. Heavy footsteps approached, stopping outside our stall. The sound of labored breathing filled the air. JJ, in a shaky whisper, suggested we crawl under the stalls to escape. His whisper was too loud. It must have been heard. The intruder pressed against the stall door, trying to force it open. JJ and I scrambled under the stalls, moving as quickly as we could. As we reached the bathroom door, we glanced back and saw the man, his wild eyes fixated on us. We bolted into JJ's classroom, pounding on the door until the teacher let us in. JJ frantically explained what had happened, mentioning a gun in the man's pocket. Moments later, the man appeared at the classroom window, banging on the door and trying the handle. He eventually left, but the fear lingered. When the lockdown ended, the police arrived. They assured us they'd search for the man, but we never heard if he was caught. Security measures at the school were tightened after that day, but the chilling memory of what could have happened stayed with us. This story was sent in by Anonymous. I'm a retired police officer from New Jersey, and during my 20 years on the force, I responded to many calls. None, however, disturbed me as much as the lockdown call at a local middle school. It was a stormy, overcast day when I received the call. A suspicious man had been seen leaving a white van and entering the school through the back door near the boys' locker room. I arrived quickly, parking near the van. The vehicle was locked with no one inside. I entered the school through the same door the suspect had used. The lights were off, leaving the hallways dark and ominous. I moved cautiously, flashlight in hand, as I navigated to the gym hallway. A staff member emerged from the front office and whispered for me to check the boys' locker room, warning me that the man might be armed. The locker room was pitch black, save for the beam of my flashlight. A faint white noise hummed from the ventilation system, but over it I heard faint scratching noises. Each sound seemed to come from a different part of the room. My heart raced as I crept through the space, gun drawn. The silence was shattered by the slam of a locker door, causing me to jump. Following the sound, I entered the football team's locker room. The lockers here were larger and the room was even darker. I shouted, "Police!" and a muffled voice cried out, "Help!" I traced the sound to a locker where a boy was trapped inside. He pounded on the door, his voice desperate. I assured him I'd get help and ran back outside to check the van. It was gone. Dispatch was notified to be on the lookout for the white van as I returned to the locker room. The boy was freed, trembling and bleeding from a cut on his arm. He told me the man had tried to force him into the van but had shoved him into the locker when he resisted. A week later, the van was spotted, and the suspect was apprehended. The image of that terrified boy stayed with me, a haunting reminder of how quickly things can escalate. This story was sent in by Victoria. While visiting Rowan University, I stayed at a Hampton Inn nearby. I had attended campus tours that day, grabbed dinner at a local restaurant, and returned to my hotel room around 8 p.m. An hour later, a strange alarm blared in my room. A message looped instructing all guests to stay in their rooms due to a lockdown. I found the situation more intriguing than alarming and went about my routine, brushing my teeth and preparing for bed. Around 9:30 p.m., I received a call from the front desk. The woman on the line spoke with urgency, telling me to calmly leave the room immediately. I asked what was happening, but her response chilled me. "There's someone in your room?" My stomach dropped as I scanned the room. The bathroom and under the bed were empty, but then I noticed the closet door. It was slightly ajar, and through the crack I saw a face staring back at me. I froze, unable to comprehend what I was seeing. The door slammed shut and panic took over. I bolted from the room, heart pounding. Hotel staff and police swarmed the scene. The intruder, a deranged man with no connection to the hotel, had entered through an unlocked service door. I couldn't shake the feeling of his eyes watching me from the closet. A sinister memory I'll never forget. Sometimes the scariest stories aren't fiction, they're real. If these chilling tales sent shivers down your spine, don't forget to like this video and hit subscribe for more terrifying true stories. Share your own spine-tingling encounters in the comments. Who knows, your story might be next. But remember, the dark isn't always empty. Stay safe and stay scared.